This cutie pie is Zoe, and this is Zoe's roadmap to success. Now you're going to hear her chortling. She's got a short nose. Yes, you do have a short nose. And you get a little bit of a smashed in face, but she's awfully cute for it. So she might protest a little bit. She might want to get down, but this looks better if I have the dog in the shot. So we'll give you some petting and attention. All right, so I think what we have here is a spoiled dog. I think she is just so used to getting her way. She has absolutely no motivation to listen to anybody else. She might have a little bit of a resource guarding issue, which we'll talk about in a minute. She lives with 2 cats, Kiwi, and what's the other cat's name?
Teaker.
And Teaker. And so she gets a pill in the morning in a pill pocket. She really likes getting that and a greenie. And when it's time for her to get that, sometimes if the cat's nearby, she comes out and it kind of, I would say, attacks the cat, but kind of goes after the cat a little bit, like, how dare you take my treat? So I think this is, again, from being, you're a little bit spoiled and petulant. And I think that she's like, I'm going to be mean to these cats, are going to move away so I get all the treats and they don't get any of these treats, even though they're not, they might, if they're getting them, they're getting cat treats. So we need to flip the leader-follower dynamic in this house. The video above talks about the importance of petting with a purpose and passive training. I'm not going to summarize those things, but you really need to get in the habit of doing it. So to summarize them very, very quickly is passive training is every time Zoe comes to you, pet her and say, come. Try to pet her under her chin and say, come only once. Every time she brings you a toy, name all your individual toys. Call it zebra, stripey, cheeseburger, whatever it is. One-word commands, preferably fun commands. All balls can be balls, all bones can be bones, but naming all the individual toys, every time she brings it to you, pet her and say zebra or whatever it is. And after a while, she'll just want to, you can say zebra and she'll go get zebra for you. Yes, you got to answer your pants, but you're going to stay up here until we get done. Yes. But again, this is petulance. I don't want to be here. I want to do what I want to do, and I'm just going to protest until I get my way. And so that's why that petting with a purpose and passive training is going to be so important, because if she does things we want, we're going to recognize and reward her. So that's passive training. She does the thing organically on her own without any influences from us. So if she were to sit, you pet her and say sit. If she lays down, pet her and say crash or whatever your word is. Yes. When you said she likes giving you kisses, every time she kisses you, say kisses. You're not going to give me kisses? Nope. So the idea is we're putting in context whatever it is. So don't say good sit, just say sit. Petting with the purpose is if you want to pet the dog or the dog is giving you a command, you're going to, instead of validating the dog's perception, you're going to give the dog a counter order. And again, it's all outlined in that video above, so I'm going to go over that. I'm not going to go over that again, but that's really be cognizant of doing that. The guardian right now lives alone with the 2 cats and a dog, so she doesn't have somebody to tell her. So putting Post-it notes up around, right on top of the TV in your line of sight about some of the things we're talking about in this video will help you kind of stay on top of them. Yes. All right, I'm going to put you over on your back so I can rub your belly a little bit while we do this. See if I can calm you down. Now, she is a little bit right here on her paw. You can see she's got orange, and I don't think that's her. And she's also got a lot of orange around her private area and some other areas. White dogs, when they lick their fur, it can get rusty colored, just like her private area is right here. That can be an indication that she has allergies. It could be OCD. It could be a couple other things. So I recommend that we get her a little bit more exercise. The guardian exercises her, but she has, being a short-snouted dog, sometimes it's too much. So instead of driving to the park and going to the park, your neighborhood's nice. I would just put her on a leash, take her to the top of your block and back, but try to do that multiple times a day. Instead of taking her for one 20-minute walk, let's take her for 4 or 5-minute walks. Dogs sleep about 17 hours a day on average. And so when they're asleep, they're recharging their batteries and then they're ready to go and deplete the batteries. So before the pill pocket, giving her that, maybe throwing the treat up and down the stairs and getting her practice going up and down the stairs, or going for a short walk or playing fetch or something like that. Don't overdo it, but just give her a little bit of exercise before those things happen. Before your grandkid comes over. She's not a big fan of the grandkid because he's at an age where he's just kind of pawing at her and crawling after her. And she runs to the door and wants to go outside. I'd like to eventually have you have a puppy play gate or a play parent area where you can have her in the room in the puppy play area, but the grandchild can't get to. I want her to practice being in the room with him, but nothing bad or negative happening, at least for her perception. And so at Playgate, those are really cheap. They're probably about $25 to $35. You can break it down really easily and set it under your couch. But when the grandkids comes over, we'd like her to spend some time in the room with him, but create a little bit of a barrier so he can't get to her. So for exercise, one of the things you can do is teach her to go up and down the stairs. So, and one thing, this might be a longer video. So if you just lean forward with your arms and put the end of that thing on the armrest, it's a little bit easier. There you go. What you want to do is when you have visitors, just say, hey, can you help me exercise Zoe a little bit? So she has some feeding issues we'll talk about in a minute. But once those are resolved, she should be inclined to run up and down the stairs to get the treats. So have one person at the bottom of the stairs and one person at the top of the stairs. Both of you as treats. So if she's at the top of the stairs, we call her down to the bottom of the stairs and come up with a funny word that means go down south, like Mexico, Australia, Chile, or something like that. So she goes to the bottom of the stairs, we give her a treat, and so we say Mexico. And then the person at the top of the stairs calls her up, and when they come up to the top of the stairs, we give her another treat. Maybe this one we call Colorado or Aspen or Canada, something that needs to go north or to go up, and penthouse. And then the person at the bottom of the stairs calls her again. So maybe we will do maybe 10 up and down, going up and down the stairs 10 times. That's 20 passes on the stairs. That's going to be a lot of exercise for her. Probably even too much for you. Yes. And because you're with your little nose. But we can do it inside when it's air conditioned. It's something that eventually you could say Chile and she would run to the bottom of the stairs because that means go to the bottom of the stairs and get a treat. So eventually she would just do it and then give her the treat after she complies. And this could be something that your grandchild can do with her, and she probably would like doing it. We'd like to create some activities that she likes to do, that he also likes to do, so they have some positive interactions together. But upping her exercise before the pill pocket delivery, before I have guests, anytime she's going to protest or get in trouble, exercising her will help, and it'll also help with her appetite. She's not fat, but she is very picky when it comes to eating. And so the guardian will try to feed her like 5 or 6 times a day if she doesn't eat. So what I would recommend is we go to a structured feeding and feed her 3 times a day. And this, I'm going to talk about some rules, and this is a really easy one because the dog doesn't have any choice. And I define the rules, things the dog likes to do, has the ability to do, but can't do without permission. So in this case, the dog can't really go feed herself. We have to do that for her. Well, we put the food in the bowl, and right now she's like, whatever, I'll eat it later. And so the guardian might, come here, Zoe. Zoe's learned by not eating, I have a little leverage, and I'll eat whatever I want. She's going to feed me like 6 times a day anyways. When I'm hungry, I'll just eat. Well, it's not good for dogs to eat late in dinner only, which is basically what she's doing. So what I would do, yes, that's a sniffle, is I would come up with a command word for her to eat. Call it sushi or potato or steak or I'm trying to think of some Polish dishes. But basically just come up with something some word that means for her to eat. So every time for 3 months she takes her first bite of food, you say kolache, which is that's like Czech, I think. But whatever it is, you come up with a word, and so now that makes her command word to eat is when you say pizza, that means I eat. So if you call it meatball or something like that, your grandkid comes over and you say meatball and she goes over and eats, that's funny. Dogs can read facial expressions. That's what will make her more motivated to want to eat. So what I want you to do is make sure that you're eating something first. So you can put the food down in her bowl, and because right now she's not used to eating right away. She's like, whatever. And then make your eggs or whatever you make for your breakfast. If you're not going to eat breakfast, you're going to go out to breakfast or for a meal, just eat something or 5 or more bites in front of her. Grab a chick, cracker, eat it in 5 bites, and then come over to her bowl and call her once or twice. Say, Zoe, Zoe. And then if she doesn't come over to you within a reasonable period of time, like 30 seconds or so, pick up the bowl, dump all the food back in the bag, and then put the empty bowl back down. It's important to put the empty bowl back down. Most dogs will go and lick the empty bowl. What happened? Well, when you don't eat, the food goes away. The mess hall is not open 24/7 anymore. And then we do not try to feed her again until the next meal, which would be lunch. And again, you're going to eat lunch first. We'll actually put the food. I would put the food down, but if she starts going to eating your food right away, then you might want to feed her after you eat first. So you eat your lunch, then you come and invite her. If she doesn't eat, come within a reasonable amount of time, pick it up and dump it. Let's say she comes over and takes a bite or 2 and then walks away. As soon as she walks 7 feet away, pick up the bowl and dump it empty and put the empty bowl back down. I want her to see the bowl as empty every time she walks by and gets water. That way it becomes a very special, privileged time when there's food in there. Oh, that's the exception. I better take advantage of that. And again, say the command word once she's eating. Don't say sushi now or meatball. Wait for her to eat and then say it when she's got food in her mouth for the first bite for 3 months. And that'll eventually create the command word. My parents' dog went long. She did not eat until breakfast of the 4th day. Dogs really can't go longer than 3 days without eating. And there's not an ethical issue with this because you're offering the dog the ability to eat every day, actually 3 times a day. The dog is turning its nose up. I will eat when I want to eat. Frankly, what I would do, I would try to feed her breakfast. I would try to feed her lunch. If she does not eat lunch, I would not try to feed her dinner. I would wait. That's if the camera moves. That's because we have. There we go. It's got some whiskers. We have yes, little Kiwi checking things out. So what we want to do is just reward the dog. So if you eat breakfast and lunch, then I'll feed you dinner too. If you don't eat breakfast or lunch, then there's no dinner. That will make her more motivated to eat breakfast the next day. She's in a habit. Her neural pathways are essentially locked into eating late at night. So that's a routine. She's going to be normal. It's going to be what she wants to do. So you're going to have to practice and help break that routine. And again, we're offering the food. She turns her nose up on it. That's on her tab, not on our tab. If it goes longer than 3 days without her eating, usually means somebody's cheating. So call me if it gets to that point. But I'm guessing she probably won't eat until breakfast of the second day, maybe even lunch of the second day. But it might take the third. Depends on how determined you are. I say determined instead of stubborn. Yes. All right. So let me see. Other rules. We talked about one of them at the end of the video above, making her sit at the door. Make sure you're doing that. Put a Post-it note on the door. No outs without a sit. So go to the door, say sit once. If she doesn't sit, we sit down at the table, have a magazine or something there, read it, wait 1 minute, and after 1 minute, give her another opportunity by telling her one more time, sit. And the next time I'll walk away for 2 minutes, and for 4 minutes and 8 minutes. I would get one of those like white timers and just in cooking timer, just put it on your table and have a magazine or a newspaper. So she looks in the window and sees that you're having a good time and she's missing out on it. So that will help motivate her to want to do it. Remember, playing hard to get works great for dogs. Let me see. I also would prefer to not have her under the table with you or in the kitchen when you're cooking, but I'm not going to worry about those things as much. We didn't get into the weeds as much as I normally do in my sessions because I really think that the petting with a purpose and passive training are going to be fundamentally huge if the guardian could do it consistently. The guardian's daughter said, look, you have to do this consistently. So make sure you put Post-it notes up. If you have Google at home or Siri, I actually have it tell me certain things I need to do with my dogs. And so sometimes that might, remember to ask for a pet before you pet, or pet with a purpose, or whatever it is. Maybe that's a good Mother's Day gift or birthday gift for you. Get you a Google at home or an Amazon Dot or something like that. But you can tell it, hey, Amazon, every day at 3 o'clock, remind me to tell Zoe to sit before I pet her. And so you can give yourself some reminders that'll help. And after a couple of months, you'll get in a habit of doing this. Now, if you get in a habit of petting with a purpose and passive training, something I didn't talk about in the video above, every time you pet your dog, it will become a mini dog training session where 3 very important things will happen. Nope, you can't escape quite yet. First of all, it changes the leader-follower dynamic because instead of telling the human what to do, I have to ask. Not only do I have to ask, I have to pay for the privilege of their attention by sitting or laying down, which are more subordinate positions, more of a follower's position for her. And if I don't do that, she's on to other things. She's watching TV, she's out walking, she's having a good time, whatever it is. Speaking of which, since she really likes being with you, if she doesn't comply and you really want her to do that, what I would do is immediately leave the house or leave and close the door behind and leave her behind. That's called a negative punishment, negative meaning to deduct something from the equation that the dog likes, in this case, you. So you tell her to sit, she doesn't sit, and you get up and go in the bedroom and close the door behind you, and she's not, it's like, wow, not only did I not get the attention that she used to give me, she left. That's not what I want. I want the opposite. I want her to stay with me and to pet me. Next time she asks me to sit, maybe I should reconsider sitting so at least she doesn't leave the room. So that'd be a very powerful thing. You don't have to do it all the time, but if you really want something, that's a great way to communicate to the dog, but you have to do it bang, bang. Sit, 1, 2, 3. If you want to do it, that's when, on 4 is when you get up and leave. And don't say, Zoe, you blew it, just leave. And it takes enough repetition. So you might have to do this a couple to a dozen or a couple dozen times before she realizes if she doesn't do what I want, she's out of here. That's a little bit different than what I normally do. Normally, I like to give the dog an option where if they do what I want, I reward them. If they do anything else, nothing happens. But in this case, since we're really just going back to fundamentals, if you really want to up the ante, leaving the room would be a great way to help with that. But exercising her, like if she's rowdy with the cats, that should be interpreted as her way of saying, I have too much energy right now. I need it to be depleted. She's only 1.5 and she's got this chortle, and she's got this short snout, but she can walk, a couple of houses. It doesn't have to be a marathon walk, but that upping her exercise will also increase her appetite and get her metabolism going a little bit better. And again, every time you feed her, this becomes a micro dog training session where she sees you eating first, so you have more status. and you're controlling the food. And so I can't eat until I get permission. And if I don't eat when she wants to, the food goes away. So you have dominion over the food. That's like 4, and it also helps her practice sitting or whatever it is that you ask her to do before you feed her. Actually, you don't have to ask. Eventually, I would maybe ask her to sit before you put the food down. Right now, all I want her to do is eat, because right now she's like, well, I'll eat later. And yes, you're spoiled. She's such a good-looking girl. That's why she gets away with it. I'm trying to think what else we wanted to go over. That's, I think, primarily it. I probably am going to put the other videos, because this is kind of a shorter one, so we'll probably have 2 videos above. One is going to be the one with the treat trail to get her to go down, because that's the other problem that you have. We didn't get a chance to work with her quite so much because she's so finicky when it comes to treats. I like how you're crossing your legs back here. But you might want to also look into, dogs get allergies at times of the year, so you might want to talk to your vet about that. Children's Benadryl, and sometimes one drug doesn't work, maybe another one might work. But this could also be attributed to boredom. So trying to get her to chase the laser, run up and down the stairs, or find treats or something like that are good ways to stimulate you, aren't they? Yes, they are. Such a little cutie. Yes, you are. All right, well, this is Zoe, and this is Zoe's Roadmap to Success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.